Will you live your life out till the end of the century, as many of you might, without war, without death, without suffering? You're living in a fantasy. The United States remains in control of the sea, dominant in space, and we will even survive Donald Trump. There are powers that are declining. Russia. Russia is Saudi Arabia, speaking Russian. They depend on oil exports. Oil export prices cannot be controlled by the Russians. At $50 a barrel, they can't run the country. So they will invade Syria for no apparent reason to look good. See, we invaded somebody. Good, now you have Aleppo. Congratulations. What are you going to do with it? China is a declining country. It once grew at 15%. It now claims to grow at 6.5%. But it is a country that is extraordinarily poor. The thin strand of China that we think of as wonderful China isn't part of China. It sells its goods to the United States and Europe. And the Europeans have screwed up, so they're stagnating. They can't buy all those goods. And the Americans will screw up, because we always do eventually, and then we can stop buying their goods. And every one of these people depend not on their own genius, but on the willingness of people to buy their products. Who are the countries that are emerging? Japan. Actually, it never went away. It's the third largest power in the world. By far a better navy than China has. China PR notwithstanding. The only people who want the Chinese Navy to be great is the US Navy. Because the Chinese Navy is great, they get more budget. So they pretend that it's really very powerful. Japan is the great East Asian power. Turkey. If anybody's going to settle the Arab world, it's the Turks, because that's the only people who ever did settle them during the Ottoman Empire. And they're back. And there's chaos in Turkey as they try to reconcile secular and religious. But there was chaos in the United States during the Civil War. Chaos sometimes destroys you, and sometimes makes you a lot stronger. And in this region, Poland, which you laugh, but when I first said Japan, people laughed, and then I said Turkey, and they laughed. You're not laughing. Don't laugh about Poland. Why? Russia is in decline. Germany exports 50% of its GDP. Half of its economy depends on its customers buying. And right now, its biggest customer is the United States. And we have a crazy president who doesn't like Merkel, and he's capable of anything. When you're as big as the United States, you can make stupid moves and get away with it. With all this rising and falling, you think there won't be war? Well, the world is filled with war right now. You may disapprove of it. There may be a poll that says it should stop, but it won't. Merkel, by the way, said after being insulted by Trump, well, we've had enough, we're going to defend ourselves. Thank God, finally. Why she thought the United States would be offended at the thought of not having to defend Germany is not clear. But how does Germany, exporting 50% of its GDP, survive? 10% loss in exports is a 5% loss in GDP, which, to put it in technical terms, means they're screwed. So what you have here is a declining power, Russia, a declining power, Germany, and a country in the middle that's not doing too bad, Poland. And that's how you figure who's going to be there. Now, is Russia going to go quietly into that good night? I think not. Is Germany going to say, oh, well, we'll be unemployed again, 30%? No, that's not Germany style. Is Hungary going to be once more, as in all of its history, caught in a great conflict that it has no control over? Yeah, you're only 10 million people and nobody cares about you. Is Hungary going to wind up on the wrong side of the war? We've had a perfect record so far. And this is your lies. Will you live your life out till the end of the century, as many of you might, without war, without death, without suffering? You're living in a fantasy world. That's not how the human condition works. Before World War I, everybody thought Europe could not have a war because of interdependence. The Germans and the French traded so much with each other. A man called Norman Angell wrote a book saying the great illusion that there could be a war. He was a very smart guy. He was dead wrong. I wish he'd been like 21 in the trenches. Dead wrong. But he didn't get to go. The warning that I have to you is that war lurks in your life everywhere. The output of the war. And you can pretend this is an innocent, harmless tool. But every piece of it was designed to kill. Or to help kill it. It's just true. It also means that you're going to have to face the fact that the odds are, since it's been 70 years since the last systemic war, that's not going to be another 70 years before the next one. Could happen, but again, I'll bet you it won't. Most of you are self-absorbed and believe that the life that you lead is up to you. Your grandparents may have thought the same thing. It wasn't. Their lives were shaped by events. You think you shape your lives. You think that when you buy an iPhone, you are in control of your life. This is a Cold War weapon combined, and you use it every day, and you don't know it. You don't care about it. And the problem, not of your generation, but of my generation, the boomers, and of every generation, is we think we're different. No, you're not. You're just kids, and you fantasize. Then you grow up, and something completely out of control happens to you and reshapes your life. It would be better if you were prepared for it, if you were aware of it, if you understood the strange statements that are made by leaders actually could not just change your life, but end it. You would be able to confront this much better, because what will happen is, when it starts, and it will somehow, some way, you will be stunned. You will say it doesn't have anything to do with you. You will say, I didn't want it. I'm a millennial. I get to choose. I'm a boomer. I didn't get to choose. My father grew up in Hungary in the 1920s and 30s, and he didn't decide on World War II. It is important to understand how deeply intertwined your life is with war of the past, and how war can come and visit you, regardless of whether you want it. The confidence of youth is dangerous. It is dangerous because it lives in an illusion of powerfulness, of making decisions, and of determining your future. Most of us, all of us, are caught in webs we never expected to be there. And the best you can do is anticipate them. And the reason you won't is you prefer the illusion of power. And it's not there. I hope I've not upset you too much. You don't want to throw anything to me. But it basically means life sucks, and then you die.